This is Prime News.
What makes this story especially sad is when asked the reason why she took Ty's life. Tiffany said that she did not want him to grow up with no one caring about him the same way that she had grown up.
That's a reason to kill your own son and bury him in a playground? We're just getting the horrific details out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. 23-year-old Tiffany Toribio is now charged with murder. Her own family turned her in, and listening to police describe how she killed him, so disturbing. We'll get to that. Joining us to talk about it, HLN law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks, and also with us Dr. Jeff Gardier, clinical psychologist. And if you have comments, thoughts, questions, call in 1-877-TELL-HLN. Jeff, got to start with you. Help us make some sense of this, how a mother could kill her son in this fashion.
It's so hard to make sense of this because from what we know right now, Mike, there's no motivation for her having to do this or wanting to do this. And all I can think of this tragedy is that perhaps this is a woman who had undiagnosed severe mental health issues that were compounded by the fact that she was homeless. She was kicked out of one home for another with family members that she was living with. Maybe there was some substance abuse, but either way, this is a tragedy. It's hard to make sense of this one.
That reason she gave, that she didn't want her son to grow up with nobody caring for him, I'm paraphrasing here, the way she grew up. What do you make of that? Obviously a tough childhood, I would deduct.
Well, it sounds to me like she had a very tough childhood. What we've learned on the wires was that she was kicked out of several homes, including her mother's home, because of the way she was treating this little boy. For her to say this, of course we realize that she had a tough childhood, but unless you are psychotic, unless there is some masked mental health issue, even having this kind of childhood, of course, as you're intimating, is no reason for you then to want to take your child out of that misery in that particular way. Why not just turn him over to child welfare services?
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking to see that innocent little face there. Jeff, we'll get back to you in just a second here. Mike, how did they zone in on this lady? How did investigators do this?
Well, Mike, you know, after they put the picture out of the little boy because they couldn't show any because he was so badly decomposed because of the heat of the sand. They put the shirt on the head of the picture that we saw earlier last week. The family members said, wait a minute, that looks like Tiffany's son. And they had not seen the boy since last week. So they called authorities. Authorities called her, and then hours later went out, called her and said, we want to talk to you about your son. Then hours later went and arrested her about 4 a.m.
Okay, I know the question many of you have. Okay, how did she do this? We have the police chief, Ray Schultz, Albuquerque Police, talking about it. It is rough to listen to, but we'll get Jeff's take on it coming out of that. Let's listen.
She placed her hand over her son's mouth and nose and suffocated him. She had second thoughts about what she did. She performed CPR on her son, brought him back to life, and then decided to go forward with the original act that she had started to commit, and a second time placed her hand over Ty's mouth and nose and suffocated him.
Again, we warned you that very disturbing to listen to that. Jeff, I mean, basically she killed him twice. I mean, take us through that struggle that must have went on here, obviously for him, but for her, again, it's so hard to fathom, but go ahead.
Well, I would imagine that what happened was that she was wrestling with her own sanity, knowing that what she did was, in fact, the wrong thing, brought him back to life, but then again, struggling with that sanity, thinking, yes, I've got to take him out because I don't want him to have this childhood, in her own crazy, schizoaffective kind of thinking, then killed him once again. Mike, when they picked her up, when she said she was going to turn herself in, and they picked her up, she denied that she was this woman. She denied who she was, and they said, no, no, we know who you are. So we're getting some really crazy behaviors, and then add to the fact that she buried him in this sandlot where he would easily be found by other children. So all of this is part of some sort of very crazy psychotic process. You're going to see an insanity defense on this one.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that when we come back. Let's get a call in real quick. Amy in Texas, Hi, Amy. Your thoughts here?
Hi.
Hi, Amy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. There's something wrong with these people.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm a grandmother, and I would not ever think of doing that. If they don't want the children, you know, take them to the police station, take them to the hospital. Don't kill them. I'm just appalled.
Yeah. You and I'm sure so many of our other viewers. I want to read something before we go to break. This is from Sarah Sandoval, who went to the vigils and had just part of the community outpouring for this little guy. She said, "We named him Baby Angel, and it's important now that we know his real name." Again, it's Tyrus Toribio, and she lives nearby. She says, "Now his mother will find out this baby has a lot of people who love him and will do anything for a child." We'll talk to Jeff about that, how this mom would not seek help, and just delve further into this. And we'll take more of your phone calls as well. The number 1-877-TEL-HLN.